Hi everyone, thank you for tuning into CalCCA's Community Energy Innovation webinar series. Today we focus on Sonoma Clean Power's new Advanced Energy Center. I'm Leora Vestal, CalCCA's Director of Communications.
And I'm Jackson McDonough, Communications Associate at CalCCA.
Thank you to our webinar series sponsors, Calpine Energy Solutions, partners with CCA programs throughout California, providing a host of key services for many operational and soon to launch aggregators. Calpine is one of the largest generators of electricity in the US and the nation's largest operator of geothermal power plants, including the Geysers facility in Lake and Sonoma counties. And Sonoma County is where the Advanced Energy Center is located, so perfect segue to today's topic. But first, I want to introduce today's distinguished speakers, Rachel Kuykendall and Chris Brott. Rachel is responsible for program design and implementation in the areas of distributed energy resources, energy efficiency, demand response, electric vehicles, and other areas that reduce greenhouse gas emissions and support affordable energy for Sonoma Clean Power customers. She currently manages Sonoma Clean Power's demand response and building decarbonization efforts. Chris is Senior Manager of Frontier's Oakland office. He plays a principal role in Frontier Energy's work to develop and innovate solutions to accelerate project and technology adoption, guiding the implementation of energy and water efficiency programs for local governments and utilities across California.
Great, just a couple housekeeping items. Today's webinar is being recorded and all participants will be in listen-only mode. Please use the Q&A button rather than the chat to type in questions at any time and indicate which speaker you would like to address your question to. The Q&A with our speakers will follow after their presentations, so stay tuned until the very end. All right, over to you, Rachel.
Hi, everyone. As Leora said, my name is Rachel Kuykendall, and I am a program manager with Sonoma Clean Power here. We are attempting a pretty ambitious webinar today where we'll be sort of running around in this physical space called the Advanced Energy Center. It is a working space, so you may see people pop by in the background, but really excited to share this project with you today and some of our early successes and lessons learned. Next slide. So Sonoma Clean Power, we are the second CCA to be formed after MCE. We started serving customers in 2014, and our agency, specifically in the Joint Powers Authority that established us, had a mission to reduce greenhouse gas emissions in our Sonoma County and then Mendocino County when we expanded there. Geographically, we serve Sonoma and Mendocino counties, and PG&E is our distribution partner. And then we have about 600,000 customers in our service territory. Next slide.
Hello, good morning. Or afternoon, I guess. My name is Chris with the Frontier team. Frontier Energy, as I think Leora mentioned at the start, I'm based out of the Oakland office. We have offices here in California, New York, Texas, and Minnesota. And we really focus on consulting and professional services in the energy and energy efficiency space. We work with buildings, transportation, but are increasingly becoming the nexus between those as we look to our kind of clean energy future. We work on contractor engagement, program design, and just general support for great efforts like what we're seeing here with this Advanced Energy Center. So excited to be here today and share more about what we're working on. Next slide. We wanted to frame also at the start a little bit about what was the galvanizing force behind this. And so I think it was Thanksgiving 2017 when Rachel and I and a couple other folks maybe had some turkey and some other kind of those special dishes, but really spent a lot of time working through the final finishing touches on what was this proposal to the CEC with their EPIC solicitation. The purpose of the solicitation was really to focus on innovative program strategies that would rapidly accelerate energy efficiency in existing buildings. They had a goal of working with strategies to get to 10% site KW savings or KWH savings in residential buildings, 20% site electric savings in commercial buildings, and hopefully a target of over 300,000 square feet of retrofitted building space, so that those lessons learned could be taken to broader application around the state. The CEC was really focused also on 3 different kind of approaches. One, looking at technologies that were ready to go. Others that are strategies or technologies that are kind of a little more nascent. And so they were thinking about things related to applied research and demonstration for those technologies that needed more proof before maybe getting into the mainstream market. And then for those technologies that have been proven, how can we help scale them and get them into the homes and businesses of Sonoma Clean Power customers more readily and more often? So in that approach, and with that interest from the CEC, we were really looking to take the relationship that Sonoma Clean Power has with its customers and have that deliver value to them through the research and the technology demonstration sites. Those were recruited directly from those Sonoma Clean Power customers. Then the deployment sites, those are engaged through the Advanced Energy Center. And so that's just general outreach and engagement with the Sonoma Clean Power customer base, encouraging them to come to the website and come to the storefront in downtown Santa Rosa. In terms of what that has led to, in terms of that approach, we started this work in 2018. About $9.8 million was awarded from the California Energy Commission. Sonoma Clean Power had initially earmarked about $2.5 million in match funds. Rachel, I'm willing to bet it might be a little bit more than that now, as you and the Sonoma Clean Power continue to kind of invest in this effort. Those CEC funds were really for the research and the demonstration work, program planning, stakeholder engagement and reporting. The Sonoma Clean Power match funds really support the deployment incentives and the discounts that are offered to Sonoma Clean Power customers when they're purchasing these equipment, and also working with the Advanced Energy Center for construction and launch and ongoing customer support as we look beyond the grant period. Rachel, I think back to you.
All right, so the question we get a lot from customers that come into this space, and I'm excited to show it to you in just a few minutes, is, you know, why are we doing this? Why are we building this crazy store/museum hybrid? And really that's because we're driven by emissions. So locally, about a quarter of our emissions come from buildings. And what we started finding as we were offering programs that focused on decarbonizing buildings, like our Advanced Energy Rebuild program, was that just customers had a lot of questions. So we found through those programs that if a customer built a home that was all electric, that home had about a quarter of the emissions that, or I'm sorry, an eighth of the emissions that a dual fuel home, a home with natural gas, had. But there was still a lot of questions about, you know, how does a heat pump work? What happens if I lose power? You know, how noisy are these things? Confusion with standard electric resistance cooktops. That really we started saying, I think we need a physical space to share what these technologies look like with our customers. This also really serves as a starting point for how to educate our customers. So I'm actually sitting right now in our educational classroom where we host a variety of trainings and events and things to just get people to come in to start to think about these things. We're also really using the Advanced Energy Center to be a connection tool with contractors. So that was one big thing we found from these early programs, was just customers were having a hard time finding the contractors that were trained in these technologies. Even if maybe the customer wanted a heat pump water heater, they would get sold a gas tankless water heater by their contractor because that was what they were familiar with. So we're focusing here a lot on both contractor education, as well as making that connection point with the contractor very easy with our customers with this online contractor matching tool that we've developed. Next slide.
Great. And we've been doing a lot of work, I think, as Rachel was commenting on, with all of these different team members to kind of bring this program together. Sonoma Clean Power certainly leading the way with the general work on the Advanced Energy Center, along with the CEC grant. We at Frontier Energy, as I spoke to, have been working on those research projects working on the field testing, working through the data and the program supports. We're also working to help package some modeling of what might be ideal strategies and technologies to bundle together to hopefully get to our energy efficiency as well as clean energy goals. The DNV, I should have struck the GL, they've recently dropped that. The DNV team, they are our kind of independent third-party EM&V group, evaluation, measurement, and verification. We've been working closely with them from the beginning and really more of an embedded EM&V approach to help provide counsel and guidance as we think about how we're measuring our savings and how we are moving that forward for further study. Something that I think is not uncommon within various CCA communities, and I really wanted to highlight this and the good work that the Sonoma Clean Power team has done also to engage other folks locally, but the Sonoma County Regional Climate Protection Authority, RCPA, the Sonoma County Energy and Sustainability Department, as well as local consultants with Design Avenues have really all been contributing to both program development as well as implementation. I think the other opportunity there and working with the RCPA and Sonoma County Energy and Sustainability is those are partners locally that are also working with the California Public Utilities Commission and the Bay Area Regional Energy Network to implement programs as well. So there's some nice cross-leveraging that's happening there. And finally, I would be remiss not to kind of make mention of all the kind of deep research that's going on, having the privilege to work with organizations like the California Lighting Technology Center, Energy Docs, Rick Chitwood, people that are on organizations that are kind of on the leading edge of some of the more new technologies and or best practice in terms of lighting, whole building retrofits, etc. So we're excited to bring all this together, and Rachel's gonna move next to kind of begin walking you through what this all looks like at the Advanced Energy Center.
Yeah, hi all. Welcome to the physical Advanced Energy Center. So I am going to try to not make you sick by running around and just showing you some select views of what this space actually looks like. But this is our water heater zone, and this was a question and a technology that's rather new to our customers. So one of the big ways that we try to demystify the technology is actually have working versions that people can see. Like, for instance, this is a working heat pump water heater behind me, and it can kicks on and on throughout the day, so folks can see exactly how loud it is. This is also a training center, so we can actually switch out the water heaters to have different ones function. But this is really a nice section of our Advanced Energy Center because we can show folks what these things actually look like. So we can talk about the differences in models here. We actually have 3 different heat pump water heaters that are sort of slightly all in the shot. But being able to talk about the differences between each one is really impactful for our customers. We also have a sort of interesting unit over on this side, in that we have what's called a split heat pump water heater, a stand-in model, which can do the water heating with CO2 as a refrigerant, which is a really emerging technology compared to some of the more conventional heat pump water heaters that we see in the market. In terms of incentives, that's always a part of the conversation with our customers, and Chris is going to talk a little bit about how we stack with our partner programs. But while I'm over here in the water heaters, I wanted to cover how that would work for this particular technology. So our customers, at the end of the day, we're hoping to make it as easy as possible for them to sort of see one incentive and rebate number. On the back end, it's a little bit of a mess as we hodgepodge those numbers together. So how that works locally is we have a program through BayREN that offers a $1,000 incentive for heat pump water heaters. Sonoma Clean Power, we actually offer on top of that $700, specifically for water heaters that can do demand response. And then for those same water heaters, we also offer a $5 per month incentive for participating in our demand response program actively. And we do that with Riemann A.O. Smith through a partner program that we call the Grid Savvy Community, which basically aggregates all the smart devices in our service territory and allows us to use them as a resource. And that's actually one of the ways we're also able to sell electric technologies to our customer is that they're smart. So we have a lot of tech savvy customers that are coming in here and really interested in like a new water heater because they can control it from their phone, or they can participate in our grid savvy program and earn that extra incentive. And then I think, Chris, you were going to talk a little bit about the incentives themselves and how we work with the distributors.
Yeah. So the general approach within the Advanced Energy Center, I think as Rachel's talking to here, is layering these different incentive opportunities. We're also working to kind of make that as transparent as possible to the customer. And so those vendors and distributors that are interested in participating in the Advanced Energy Center, the primary ask of them is, are you willing to offer, put some skin into the game to offer what we're calling a vendor discount to participating customers? So that is the ask made of them to have access to the center, to have access to Sonoma Clean Power customers, and to be kind of promoted as one of the leading technologies and or distributors of that technology that Sonoma Clean Power customers could work with. In addition to that vendor discount, then there are the kind of program administrator or program discounts on top of that. So it's from Sonoma Clean Power, from BayRen, all to kind of ideally deliver the best kind of cost savings to the customer as possible. The way that kind of all comes together is a lot of behind the scenes collaboration. We've been working through, and I think are getting good traction with our contractors with this initial launch here, and we're going to improve upon this as we go. It is complicated, but I think ultimately Rachel and the team at Sonoma Clean Power has really deep relationships with the BayRen team, with the energy and sustainability team. As I mentioned, they're a member of the grant implementation. Sonoma County Energy and Sustainability, though, also does contractor outreach. They have their own PACE financing initiative that they run out of the county. And so all of those pieces are something that are coming together behind the scenes as we work to hopefully make for the customer the experience as easy as possible. There's also other kind of loop outs that we're doing. The PG&E group and team that Rachel and folks at Sonoma Clean Power work really well with in the past for some of their programs like the Advanced Energy Rebuild for some of the fire recovery. PG&E is a member of the Technical Advisory Committee for the Lead Locally CEC grant, as well as the work that we're doing at the Advanced Energy Center. They're very interested in kind of contributing lessons learned, suggesting products, and hearing for how things are going in the center. And then finally, kind of looping back all the way to some of what are Sonoma Clean Power's existing programs. Rachel might have mentioned the grid savvy work that they've done, but there are various channels in which some things like the load shifting technologies for heat pump water heaters or the smart thermostats can be kind of layered in as well, so that there is additional discount on people's bills for participating in some of that load shifting and demand response work. So I think the one piece I didn't talk about, Rachel, was the low income and income qualified incentives that are also offered on top of that, and the engagement we're doing there, which I think you wanted to touch on.
Yeah, I think when we talk how to engage low income customers, it's always tricky. To be honest, there aren't a lot of energy efficiency programs that do it well. It's just a really hard market that takes a lot of time and energy. And especially when you're starting to get into electrification, the costs can just sort of skyrocket. A lot of sort of our lower income customers live in homes with maybe a 100 amp panel, where electrification necessitates an upgrade of that panel that can cost, $10,000. You may be talking service upgrades to these homes as well. So when we designed this program, in particular, we designed one, just additional outreach strategies to reach these customers, but two, we're actually piloting a financing program, which Chris is going to talk a little bit about more in a second, that can cover some of those associated costs with electrifying, like the panel upgrade. We're also offering much larger incentives for our customers that are on a care or FARA rate with PG&E, and that's that we're fully actually covering the equipment cost. So just taking that out of the picture. So combine that then with our financing product, and this can be totally free for our lower income customers. And for that, it was really important to sort of walk the walk and put a solution out there that we think will be attractive to these folks. And honestly, I think we're putting it out there, but we're also starting to do a lot of work around how do we get folks to these incentives. We can't just drop them down and expect them to get some uptake there. So we actually have in parallel at Sonoma Clean Power, we're creating an equity framework that really helps us think about how we engage with groups that maybe haven't had access to traditional energy efficiency programs. And that's certainly a component of what we do here as well. We also talk about just, how to engage folks in a conversation that maybe isn't necessarily energy related. So how do we schedule events in this space that may draw folks in that wouldn't normally be interested in energy efficiency? So actually this week we're hosting a movie night in the square in downtown Santa Rosa where we're giving away free popcorn to folks. So really using this space as a way to sort of draw people in with like these cool murals and free things, and then have the conversation about energy efficiency and renewable energy and things that they can do to improve their life. But most people, maybe myself and Chris excluded, wouldn't see something called the Advanced Energy Center and go, I want to go there. We're pretty nerdy, but we're trying to think of ways to engage our average customer that maybe doesn't have a lot of engagement with traditional utility programs. And then Chris, did you want to cover a little bit about the financing basics and how we set up that program?
Yes, happy to. Real quick, Jackson, maybe my feed is frozen, but I'm looking at my face looking down. Okay, there we go. So yes, on-bill financing at Sonoma Clean Power is something that Rachel and I have been talking about for several years at this point. So we're excited for it to be rolling out. This is offered as a loan, and so compared to some other on-bill financing opportunities where the on-bill financing charge might run with the meter or stay with the property, depending upon or regardless of kind of change in ownership and change in the customer. This is something that I think Sonoma Clean Power has done a really nice job of kind of preparing for the customer in the moment, giving them the opportunity to participate in this program to not have any upfront costs for their project, and a really easy, streamlined approach to getting that charge put on their bill instead. So as a loan, these are really dedicated for existing single-family residential projects. The 0% interest loans do go up to $10,000 in terms of total value. There is the opportunity for someone to do up to 2 loans to that total value. So if someone has an interest in doing a heat pump water heater now and maybe doing an induction cooktop later, that is a pathway that they could pursue. Contractors that are participating in this and offering this to their customers are asked to be paid basically 100% of those costs at project completion with Sonoma Clean Power approval. That is admittedly a little bit outside of most contractors' business models, but the contractors that are participating in the Advanced Energy Center have been really excited about this and have been willing to kind of work with those opportunities to give customers more chances to do these types of projects. Couple other highlights to offer: that they must own the property where the project's located. We are examining this a little bit based upon some recent bill payment history on some of the challenges I know customers are facing in this kind of pandemic. But the general sense is that we do want to make sure customers are in good standing with their bills. And so there is a policy which we're kind of revisiting a little bit, but that customers would have a $0 past balance on their at least most 3 recent PG&E billing statements. So those are some things that are just generally framing how eligibility is determined. And then I think, as Rachel was offering, we are really trying to be open to what might be other project costs that are triggered by these types of retrofits, and allowing those kind of ancillary costs, ancillary materials to be brought into that on-bill financing loan. So I think Rachel mentioned the idea of a panel upgrade. This would also include things like running new electric line perhaps to the site of the installed equipment, maybe doing kind of any type of repainting or other type of patchwork if we're talking about needing to have penetrations in a wall or a roof. And so just trying to kind of give contractors the options to kind of package this all together as they see fit, also address things like permit costs, and have that be as easy as possible for the customer to opt in on. So happy to answer more questions in the Q&A, but want to turn it back to Rachel now as we think about, actually, no, I'm sorry, I'm supposed to be doing contractor engagement as well. So what happens when you don't have slides leading you. But as we've been speaking to, this idea of that contractor engagement, working with these contractors to help them offer these types of products and services to the customers. I think as Rachel commented on early, and as I think many other folks might be witnessing within the building industry at large, as we've been home over the last 18 months, people have realized the different types of projects that they want to do in their homes and have been getting contractors to do that, which is great for the building industry, but sometimes hard when you're looking to do a project and really get it done tomorrow. So we are actively working to kind of bring as many different contractors into the program as possible. Working with relationships, as I mentioned, through the Energy and Sustainability Department at Sonoma, where they have those contractors that are already participating in that PACE program. Also working with contractors that are participating in BayREN. We've done outreach through some of the different professional organizations locally and are just constantly pushing the conversation. The other thing that we're really trying to do is listen. And so I think that in terms of those contractors that are engaged now, are working through the program, we are, I hope, demonstrating in real time that we are wanting to have a program that works for them. And so addressing things like A, responsiveness, but B, program terms, details regarding eligible products, and really trying to kind of work with those contractors actively to make sure that the program is something that they feel is bringing value to their business and to their customers. Rachel, anything you'd want to add on regarding other type of contractor engagement and or the OBF work?
No, I think that summarizes it, you know, and this is not an issue that is exclusive to us. It's just contractors are really busy right now, and it's hard to engage them. So, you know, we've been punting around a whole bunch of strategies to really engage with them. But how this works for our customers when they're interested in pursuing a project, we actually have a web component of the Advanced Energy Center online. So folks can either come in, go online, they actually fill out just a really simple form about their project, and then it bounces to all the contractors who have gone through the training and gotten on the list for this particular program. That varies by technology. We actually have a lot of contractors that are really interested in heat pump water heaters, and then less so for some technologies like induction. So we're really trying to build our our contractor base for all the technologies, so that our customers have multiple options to get bids. But it's just tough right now. Prices are high, contractors are busy. So as you can see, I've moved. I'm getting my cardio in for the day with this webinar, but wanted to highlight another really nice space that we've created in the Advanced Energy Center. When we built this, we kind of knew based on our experience with our rebuild program that cooking was going to be one of those challenges that's just so personal to people that we knew we had to put an emphasis on it in the Advanced Energy Center. And we do that in a couple ways. So we have actually for several years now had a program where we lend out these portable induction cooktops to our customers where they can actually take them home and cook on them for, 3 weeks or so. And we've had great success with that program. We actually do a survey before and after they check out the cooktops to measure how satisfied they are with induction. And it's just phenomenal to see how interested people are in installing induction after trying it out. That led to a lot of sort of questions about, well, this portable cooktop is great, but what does it look like actually in my home? And thus, we built this induction cooking demonstration zone. And this is kind of cool for a couple of reasons. First of all, we're going to host some cooking classes in here. Actually bring in chefs to have them cook with our customers on induction, demystify it. Like I said, a lot of people when we first started having the conversation about induction, they sort of think back to the electric coil resistance cooking experience and sort of cringe a little bit about what that's like. Once we get people in here cooking, it's just so fun to see that switch flip where they're like, oh, this is actually really, really cool. We have a couple of models in here that we show folks. So we have sort of a more price conscious model here and a very fancy model that can actually detect pans. And so the whole surface is usable. To my right here, so showing customers sort of high-low pricing option. That actually expands to over 50 options on our website. So we're really trying to give customers a lot of choice when it comes to induction, because you'll have very different configurations when it comes to existing homes. We also are doing a lot of just demonstrations in this space. So getting people to see like how fast water boils has been a really popular one. We'll do things like bring in an infrared camera and show the difference between an induction pot where all of that heat sort of going directly to the pan versus a gas cooking experience where you just see in that infrared camera all the heat escaping. So little visuals like that are really sort of impactful when we have a customer who may be in here for like just a 20 or 30-minute period. Having those quick demonstrations that we can show folks is really quite powerful. In terms of incentives and how we handle that for induction, it's kind of an interesting product. So Chris sort of mentioned the structure earlier of how we have incentives from multiple parties, potentially vendor discounts, and that really all stacks for the induction. So we have a local vendor who's offering our customers 10% off of any appliance that they purchase there. We also have in Bayren's Home Plus program, a $300 discount or incentive, I should say, for folks that switch from gas to electric. And then what Sonoma Clean Power did is, instead of actually offering a monetary incentive on top of that, we're offering free pots and pans to our customers. So that's one thing that we frequently get questions and concerns on, is just, is my existing cookware compatible? So being able to take that concern out of it is really clutch for our customers. So we actually just drop ship every customer who purchases an induction cooktop through our program, free pots and pans. They have a set of stainless steel and nonstick that they can choose from. And that's been just really a great resource for our customers as they potentially make the switch to induction. And looking forward to eventually hosting more classes here in the space. I did want to say, because of the webinar and not wanting to get you guys all seasick, you're only seeing a limited portion of the Advanced Energy Center today. There's plenty more here. We have a little kids zone. We have a whole section on heating and cooling, on electric vehicles. Would love to have you here. Leora at the end is going to show a slide with the web address, and you can schedule a tour time to actually come and play on the cooktops yourself and do some of those demos, as well as just check out the suite of technologies. So I think with that, we're turning it over to Q&A. Is that correct, Leora?
Yeah, that's correct. Thank you so much, Rachel. I feel like, the Olympics are going on right now, that you're like the gold medal winner of the Advanced Energy Olympics in my book. So thank you so much for doing that. A lot of prep went into Rachel's tour there and making it happen during the webinar. We do have a couple of questions already. One is from Scott. It's to Rachel. How can business owners and managers take advantage of what the Advanced Energy Center offers?
Oh, we would love to have local partners. So it's a great question. I think what we're finding is the more options, the better. And email us, let us know what your product or business is and how we can highlight and amplify what you're working on. I think we have, the sky's the limit really here in terms of just events and partners and technologies that we can feature. I know the next phase I'm really excited about is potentially looking at like electric fireplace vendors, as well as some of those technologies like heat pump dryers that we haven't been able to feature in sort of phase 1 of the rollout. So we're always adding new partners and would love to chat more with you. And my email will be at the ending slide as well if you want to get a hold of me.
Great. We have another question from Tessa. Have you had any customers with concerns about induction? I've heard of several potential health concerns. Do you support regular electric cooktops?
We do, and that's certainly an option. Most of the products that we feature are induction just from sort of the energy saving standpoint. But it is a concern. You know, we do have customers who have concerns about, say, like EMF or like the durability of products. So we have a couple of resources that we're able to share with folks on speaking to those concerns. And I think it's just an open conversation, you know, there's pluses and minuses of every technology. And I think that's the conversation we try to have with our customers. You know, I think one place where it gets really personal is gas, and talking about cooking as well. So, you know, obviously there are upsides to gas cooking. A lot of people are really familiar with it. It can also be a safety issue. Electric, sort of the same story. You know, there's pluses and minuses to everything. And here, I think we're trying to have an open technology or an open conversation and ultimately leave it up to the customer. You know, we're not going to force them to do any one technology.
Hey, Rachel, real quick, I think your video's turned off right now. We'd love to see you if you can swing that. You might be in transit right now to another space. We have another question from Tessa. Are discounts provided by distributors or contractors? How much is it? And is it the same for all vendors?
Chris, do you want to start with that one while I reposition here?
Sure, yeah. So the intent was that it would be the same level of incentive for any vendor offering the same technology. I think the places though where we have seen the challenge of kind of aligning on those, like for instance with the heat pump water heaters, is actually reverted to, rather than a vendor model, more of a contractor model. So certain types of products have been well suited for that kind of more mid or really upstream type of discount. Others have migrated more towards that midstream component, I guess, which is really focused on that contractor audience. For those vendor discounts, those are styled to be offered consistently amongst products or participating vendors when that is possible. Otherwise, it is applied equally on the contractor side, regardless of the make or manufacturer of that technology, as long as they are participating in the Advanced Energy Center and their products are aligned with those various types of performance thresholds. I say that in that they're, you know, we've explored discussion, I think ultimately reverted back to kind of a standard approach with heat pumps, but there was thinking originally that heat pumps might need some tiered incentive values based upon the different sizes of that type of equipment. I think, Rachel, is there anything you'd want to add to that in terms of kind of that vendor approach, the vendor discount versus the Sonoma Clean Power adder?
No, I mean, in an ideal world, I think we'd get all levels of discount and incentives. And I think what we're finding is it just really differs from technology to technology, just in the like go-to market model for each of these vendors. So as Chris mentioned, it was really hard to find like water heater distributors who would want to offer a discount at the distributor level. So most of that is going downstream. And I think the beauty of what we've set up here is the ability to work within what works best in those scenarios. So it's certainly more challenging for us, right? If we're dealing with a combination of sort of midstream distributor and downstream contractor or customer-based incentives. But I think ultimately our goal is to get the technology out there and work within the framework that will do that.
Great. We have a question from David, and this is one that I resonate with. How can people participate in the program remotely? It's a long drive for many to Santa Rosa.
Yeah, that's a great question. And honestly, would love to hear folks' thought on this, because I think this is also near and dear to our hearts. You know, we have a really big service territory and a lot of rural customers, and a lot of rural customers are using propane right now, where it makes real sense to electrify those appliances from a greenhouse gas standpoint. So we have an online website, and that's right now, I think, the way that all customers submit requests for bids. So it is sort of an equitable process. We also do a lot of events. So actually right now we're at one of the fairs locally, and really that's to bring the technologies in the Advanced Energy Center to people where they are. All of our events right now are also virtual. So we get people participating from all areas of our service territory. But this is something, again, I think there are so many possibilities here, and we're still frankly learning. Like, I don't think we've solved this for how to engage with every customer out there. So would love to hear from other organizations and partners what's really worked well.
Great, thanks, Rachel. This one is from Debarshi. What have been the top 1 to 2 concerns you're hearing from contractors about the heat pump, water heaters, and induction cooktops, respectively?
That's a good question. You know, heat pump water heaters, I think, has been actually sort of an easier sell to contractors than I thought they would be, because the big 2 vendors that we work with, Rheem and A.O. Smith, also make gas products. So even if the contractor hasn't installed a heat pump water heater before, they're probably still familiar with those 2 vendors. We haven't got a lot of pushback other than just they're learning the technology. Sometimes space can be an issue for existing sites. So I'd say that's the one we come up with the most, is just contractors who are saying, well, you're asking Sonoma Clean Power for an 80-gallon water heater for your demand response program. Can we put in a 50-gallon because of the size of this existing home? And then on induction, I'd actually say maybe our toughest challenge there is sort of coordinating trades. And actually this applies as well to induction. And Chris, I don't know if you want to talk a little bit about what we found thus far about getting electricians and plumbers to work together on those projects.
Yeah, I think it's almost, it's a dual tension, I think, between the business model side of things and also customer expectations. But I think that to Rachel's point, on the contractor side, for doing some of these technologies, you're essentially needing to work with someone that has a dual licensure in terms of a electrical plus a plumbing license at a minimum. Some plumbing firms do that. Not all. Some electricians do that, not all. And so finding that match in terms of someone who's comfortable to be disconnecting the gas line, running a new electrical line, there's some complexities there. I think what the challenge is that those complexities are different from what the standard business as usual case is, right? And so when you're talking for a like-to-like, gas-to-gas type of replacement, that typically is only involving one of those trades. So there's a complexity on the business model side, but conversely, I think there is also a challenge on the customer side where by having to pay potentially 2 different specialty contractors, there becomes an additional price premium for installing that type of product. Alternatively, working with a general contractor, someone with a B license who could do both your electrical and plumbing or oversee those subs, you're also paying a little bit of a premium sometimes for working with that GC. So I think that it's partly unpacking the opportunities or the tensions on the customer side and how we can help get them over that potential price premium burden, while simultaneously helping more and more plumbers and electricians realize that the sport of the future is going to be trying to do a little bit of both, I think. We're also not blind to the fact that this is also all tied up to code and licensure requirements. And so I think there's a good conversation to be had more maybe on the medium term with folks with the whether it's Title 24 and the Building Standards Commission, or whether we're talking with California State Licensing Board for contractors about, to the extent that we are seen opportunities to streamline some of the requirements for these types of installs and the trades required to do it. Is there opportunity there to make that easier as well? That's a much bigger conversation than we probably have time to unpack here.
Great, thanks, Chris. We have another question from Bill, kind of in a similar vein, and it says, has Sonoma County and our local cities in the county adopted energy and EV reach codes? If so, were they part of the impetus to develop a great show and tell energy center?
They were. So we have a couple cities and jurisdictions that have implemented reach codes. And one thing we really heard from contractors was a concern about pricing. And there are several studies out there that show it's cheaper to build all electric, but still our local contractors were really concerned. So part of the reason that this place exists is, one, to say, hey, contractors, hey, jurisdictions who are thinking about this, we'll buy down the price so that if there is any concern about pricing, we're going to get to price parity for you. And the second one is to just be an educational resource. So we actually, like just last week, had the city of Petaluma in here touring the space to think about how they can engage with folks. And really, I think, especially when we get to issues of equity, I think our cities and counties are the way to get to customers that wouldn't normally interact with, say, their utility. So we see this as a win-win to help potentially drive local reach codes in terms of both building electrification and electric vehicles, but also just an educational resource to building officials, to our city's staff, and to customers and contractors that have to build and live in this way that they may not be used to.
Okay, we have a question from Marshall. And Rachel, by the way, your camera is still off. I'm not sure you're able to turn it on. Is there a...
Yeah, I don't...
We want to see...
I'm not sure what's going on. I swear I'm here.
I know. I believe you.
Yeah, I'll
we can hear you. We can hear you loud and clear, which is the main thing. Does the center have the ability to show your customers how your demand response program works? That's from Marshall.
Yeah, we do. On the website, we have a whole, we're doing something that we call collections of products, which actually was a suggestion of our marketing firm that we worked with how to engage folks that maybe weren't as familiar with energy terminology. So we have a grid savvy specific collection that shows all of the products, but we also in the center itself highlight all the products that are capable of participating in grid savvy. So they actually have signage that talks about the benefits and why we do it. It's a part of every tour that we run as well. And it's something that's really, really engaging to our customers when they're talking about all electric technologies. And for those that aren't familiar with that particular program that we offer, I mentioned how it works for water heaters, but we also have participating smart thermostats and EV chargers, and we'll soon be adding a behavioral demand component where folks can participate without having to buy a device. And that's actually one program where I think the center has really helped, because one thing when we had that program without the Advanced Energy Center is we frequently got questions for, well, this is great, but I need a contractor to help me install this product. And we weren't really able to, at that point, have a contractor that we knew had been through some sort of vendor training that we could connect our customers with. So the fact that now a customer can order an EV charger and get connected with an electrician, I think is huge for just moving that particular program forward.
Great. We have another question from Carolyn, and she asks, what are people most excited about when they walk in?
It's a good question. It's really all across the board, and that's kind of the beauty of this space is you get all walks of people, and we're actually right next to Russian River Brewing, so another plug to come visit us. But we get a lot of people who are sort of like waiting in line for Russian River who wander over. I'd say that a lot of people are really interested in battery storage. That tends to be really top of mind. We're sort of right in the center of where the public power safety shutoffs happened. So a lot of folks are really concerned about losing power for multiple days. So they're very intrigued with battery storage because of that. But I'd say other than that, there's not really one thing that I've been noticing. A lot of people sort of come in and say, this particular appliance, I think I'm going to have to replace in a couple of years. And it's just all across the board. And that's been kind of the fun part of this, is no one customer experience is really the same.
Okay, I think we have time for one more question, and there are quite a few. So I'm sorry we're not able to get to all of them, but we do, have the questions, and we'll try to respond after the webinar to those we didn't get to. So this might even be a Cal CCA question, but no, I'll let you guys answer it. Is there a single repository across California CCAs and/or IOUs for all of the discounts available? We get this question a lot from new home builders, depending on the location of their new developments.
I could take a first stab at that, Leora, and then if you want to add on, one resource that I think goes across service territories that's really nice is a campaign called the switcheson.org. That's a really great one for connecting across utility territories for decarbonization incentives. It also has a contractor component, although not, I may be biased in saying it's not quite as slick, but it also has some great customer case studies and things like that. That's the switcheson.org, I believe is our URL, but I can get Leora that information so she can follow up with a specific URL for you.
Yeah, that would be great. And we just get a lot of questions about people wanting a single one-stop shop for CCA related information. So I will add that to the to-do list to see if we can pull something together at some point. But I think, Rachel's suggestion is right on. So with that, I think I'm going to share my screen again so we get this final screen up. So Chris and Rachel can close out.
Yeah, so wanted to thank you all for attending the webinar. I swear I'm still here, despite what you may or may not see. It's a lovely background too. Our contact information is here if you have any questions. And what I would encourage is next time you're in the Santa Rosa area, you can book a tour. Our website is there down at the bottom. Come actually see the space and give us ideas. This is still really a growing live space that is changing all the time. And we would love to engage with you to hear the ideas on how to even take this to the next level. So thank you all.
And thank you again, Rachel and Chris, for that great virtual tour of this, super interesting and exciting destination in Santa Rosa, and maybe even a model, for people to, look at for their own communities. And I certainly am very excited to visit at some point. And it's just a quick note that our website has a variety of information resources on CCA in California, including our quarterly report, California Aggregator, and the latest on CCA programs and initiatives, including their energy efficiency and building decarbonization efforts. A recording of the webinar will be posted on the Cal CCA website at cal-cca.org on the webinar page, where you can find information about upcoming webinars, which take place on the last Friday of the month. Thank you for spending your time with us today. Stay well, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you all.